Coming to you live from the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Welcome to the Sports Wagering Zone. If you're listening to us live, we're coming to you over the I 95 Sports and Entertainment Network. And of course, we do podcast on most of the major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcast or Spotify or even Google Podcast as well. So we're very easy to get a hold of any time of the day or night. So very good. Thank you very much. We really, I'm telling you, I just know how I can explain to you how we really appreciate you listening to the show and how easy it is to get a hold of us. We're getting emails. We're getting swamped with emails, in fact, but the more we get, the more we like because we like answering these questions. We want to make sure that you get your questions answered properly. So if you have any questions, or if you have any thoughts or ideas about the show, by all means, just send us an email and you can send it to the Sports Wagering Zone at gmail.com. That is the Sports Wagering Zone at gmail.com. So let's see. Today we have a really busy schedule. We may even go over our time limit today. We normally try to keep the show around 35 minutes or so. Today, I think we're going to go up to about 45 or maybe even more because there's a lot of football action to talk about. We got baseball to talk about. We got three games that we're following the line movement and trying to see which direction the pros are going with the Reds against Philadelphia, Milwaukee against Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers against the Mets. And we also have three football games to talk about for tonight: Tennessee, Atlanta, Buffalo and Detroit, and Dallas and Arizona. So we've got a lot to talk about. And not only that, but we're also going to quickly run over the as far as the winning and losing teams go as well. But as always, we always start the show off by finding out what happened the day before. Yesterday was kind of a busy day. You had the NFL and you had Major League Baseball. So starting with the NFL, we got the Patriots who are 2-point favorites. We're sitting on a push, but then they covered on the touchdown run with a minute and 4 seconds left in the game. They wound up winning that game 22-13 against the Washington football team. Let's see, now it's starting already. So if you, for you guys out there that have been doing this for quite a while, you see it starts over once again. You think you got to push, or depending again what part of the country you live in, we're talking about Vegas numbers here. So maybe in your neck of the woods, perhaps the Patriots were a favorite, or perhaps maybe even Washington. The number on that one would have changed as well. But here we go. You got a minute to go. You're looking at a push, and then all of a sudden, bang, a touchdown run, and you're out of the picture totally. Of course, the total stayed under also was at 37 if you add them both up. Meanwhile, the Steelers, a 1-point underdog, upset the Eagles 24-16 because that over went over 36.5 points. The favorites lead 2-1 against the spread. The unders are 2-1, including the Hall of Fame game. So all the numbers that we're talking about as far as wins and losses, we're also going to be including that Hall of Fame game as well. That's why we say it's 2-1 against the spread. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, the White Sox, they came back to beat the Yankees 9-8. What an exciting game. Tim Anderson's two-run homer, the bottom of the ninth inning. Field of Dreams game in Iowa. The Yankees caught up because they were losing 7-4 going into the ninth inning. Okay. And a couple of home runs put them ahead. It looked like they were going to be the winning team. Up comes Chicago, bang, home run, man on base, forget about it, goes the other way. It was an exciting game, no matter who you were rooting for. But it was a game that if you want to put the spotlight on a particular sport, yesterday, with everything that was going on as far as the scoring went and everything else, it was a really great plus for Major League Baseball. I'm sure of that. I think it was a great game. I loved it. I loved the movie. Again, the biggest difference between baseball and football is the fact that baseball is tradition. They lean on tradition. There's a lot of stories. People remember the year the Yankees won the World Series. That was the year they got married or they had a child born that year. They use always using Major League Baseball games from the past as a memory to kind of give them an idea as to what happened in their lives as well. So after they squandered that 7-4 lead, like we said, the Yankees came back, and then, of course, the White Sox came back and actually won the game. But because of all those runs being scored, the over betting of 9.5 runs easily went over by 7.5. The favorites went 8-6, dipping to under 75% now. They're at 74.2% over the last 9 days, which in itself is a phenomenal number. The biggest upsets yesterday, we had the Diamondbacks plus 215 on the money line against the Padres. The Reds were a plus 142 on the money line against the Braves, and the Tigers were a plus 136 against the Orioles. The favorites still lead overall since the beginning of the season, just a little over 59%. The overs went 8-6 yesterday, increased their lead up to 50.4%. So that's a rundown of yesterday's games as far as football and Major League Baseball are concerned, primarily as far as betting is concerned, because that's what we're interested in. Who wins or loses? Yeah, you got it, Mike, because it's your favorite team or something. But other than that, we want to know who beat the spread. That's the important factor. So we're going to take 3 breaks in the show, like always. Each one is of about a 1-minute duration. And when we come back, we're going to look at the 3 games on tap for tonight, give you an idea as to what the line movement is like in them, as well as which direction the pros may be going. So just a reminder, we will be back into the zone in 1 minute. And welcome back. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. Like I said, we take 3 breaks in the show. Each one is of a 1-minute duration, maybe a minute and a second or two, or something like that. But it's well within those parameters. So it just gives us a chance to take a quick sip of water, get ready for the next segment coming up. Right now, that segment is talking about the 3 games on tap for baseball for tonight. Of course, just a reminder that you are listening to us on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as most of your major podcast platforms such as Apple. We're also on iHeartRadio, and we're trying to get into Amazon Music. We're working on it as we speak. So the 3 games on tap for tonight. To start with, around 7 o'clock, you got the Cincinnati Reds, 62-54, playing against the Philadelphia Phillies, 60-55. Now, both these teams are playoff contenders, and they're looking to come back because they just got finished losing their series. The Reds just dropped 2 of 3 against the Braves. The Phillies just dropped 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. Now, Cincinnati is 4 games back of the second wild card spot. Philadelphia leads the National League East by half a game over the Mets. So in tonight's first game, Cincinnati comes in with their right-hander, Tyler Mahle, at 9-3, 3.78 ERA. And Philadelphia comes back with their ace, Zach Wheeler, who's 10-6. He has a 2.42 ERA. Now, Wheeler is currently a plus 170 favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award this season. Now, keep that in mind because the line opened with Philadelphia, a minus 165 home favorite, Cincinnati as a plus 155 road dog. Now, the public is really jumping on the Reds. This big plus money payout. When you're looking at that plus 155 on the money line, and you kind of get tempted. And if you're a contrarian, you might want to go in that direction. However, even though most of the tickets coming in are betting on Cincinnati, the pros are on the trendy dog. The Phillies minus 165 going up to minus 180 on the money line. We call this fading the trendy dog reverse line movement on the Phillies. The teams receiving 15 cents of steam or more are at 60% so far this season. Philadelphia qualifies. Non-division home favorites, they're at 62%, and the Phillies are 32-27 as a favorite. The Reds are 24-28 as a dog. So the public likes the Cincinnati Reds because of that plus money factor that's kind of attracting them. And of course, the pros, they're on the favorite in this game, the Philadelphia Phillies. Meanwhile, also around 7 o'clock, you got the Milwaukee Brewers, 70-46, playing against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 41-74. These are National League Central teams. And if you look at those numbers, they are definitely trending in completely opposite directions. The Brewers, well, they lead the division and they just swept the Cubs. They improved to 14-5 over their last 19 games. On the other side, the Pirates sit in last place. They lost 8 straight games to begin with. So we've been following the Pirates as far as losing streaks are concerned. They are now at 8 games. In tonight's opening game, the Brewers send out their left-hander, Brett Anderson. He's 4-5 with a 3.54 ERA. And the Pirates come back with their right-hander, Mitch Keller. He's 3-9 with a 7.06 ERA. So as we look at the line in this game, it opened with Milwaukee, a real big minus 180 road favorite, and Pittsburgh, a plus 165 home dog. Now, even though that's at minus 180, the pros aren't going to outsmart themselves on this one. They're happy to lay the big chalk in this game, and they steamed the Brewers up from being a minus 180 to minus 200 on the money line. Now, the big favorites, that's of 200 or more. If they're coming off a win, they're at 74% so far this season. The Brewers fit into that category. Road favorites coming off a big win of 5 runs or more are at 68% this season. Now, the Brewers are 57-35 against right-handers. The Pirates, well, they're 7-23 against left-handers. Milwaukee is 52-35 as a favorite. Pittsburgh 36-70 as a dog. The Brewers, by the way, are a plus 116 in run differential. Pirates, they're a minus 183. Milwaukee is at 12 wins and 4 losses against Pittsburgh so far. They have a record of 12-4 against the Pirates this year. So in this game, the pros once again on the Milwaukee Brewers. And finally, around 7 o'clock, you got 3 games, just about the same time. Eastern time, of course. Los Angeles Dodgers moving east to play the New York Mets. Dodgers are 69-46. Mets are 59-55. Now, both these teams, they kind of find themselves in second place in each one of their own divisions. The Dodgers out west and the Mets on the east. Los Angeles trailed the Giants by 5 games in the National League West, while the Mets, they just trailed the Phillies by a half a game in the National League East. Now, in tonight's opening game, the Dodgers come in with their lefty, Julio Urias. He's 13-3 with a 3.41 ERA. And the Mets, they give the ball to their right-hander, Tyler McGill. He's 1-2 with a 3.20 ERA. Now, as we look at the line, it opened. The Dodgers were a minus 140 road favorite. The Mets, they were a plus 130 home dog. Now, the pros seem to think that the line's a little bit low, and they steamed the Dodgers up from being a minus 140 up to minus 150 on the money line. New York has really struggled against left-handers this season. They're just 13-23 against left-handed pitching. The Dodgers are 69-43 as a favorite. The Mets, well, they're 18-25 as a dog. So Los Angeles is plus 181 in run differential. The Mets are on the negative side, minus 13. Now, we could also be looking at a low-scoring game here. You got two really good pitchers. The total opened at 9, and the pro money is going on the under. We could tell that because the number has dropped down to 8.5. Now, if you see the line movement as far as the money line movement going even higher than it is right now, you can also be aware that there's a good possibility that number could drop down to 8. So in this final game, Dodgers against the Mets, the pros once again on the favorite, the Los Angeles Dodgers. So to recap the 3 games for today, Reds against the Phillies, pros are on the Phillies. Milwaukee Brewers against the Pittsburgh Pirates, the pros are on the Brewers. And the Dodgers against the New York Mets, the pros are on the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a big game coming up in New York. It's much bigger for New York than it is for the Dodgers. They have time to catch up. They're looking to chase down the San Francisco Giants. So just kind of take a look at this little system we've been using since the beginning of the season. And so far, we're about at 55% as a win percentage, where we latch on to the tailcoats of the pros and just bet the same games that they are betting in that situation. Yesterday, we had 3 plays. We had the Cardinals over the Pirates, and that was a win. Then we had the Braves over the Reds. That was a loser. The Reds had a big win yesterday, big money line win as well. And of course, we had the Giants against the Rockies, and that was a win. So yesterday we had 3 plays. We had 2 wins and 1 loss. The day before that, we had 3 plays and 3 winners. The day before that, we had 2 plays, 1 win and 1 loss. But right now, in the month of August, we're at 70% as a win percentage. We had 33 plays so far, and you had 23 wins. Very simple. All you do is divide one by the other. You come up with 70%, which is the same as it was yesterday. Now, over the entire season, we're at 55%. So that'll kind of give you an idea as to how it is, kind of keep you up to date on it. This way, it's up to you to decide whether you want to bet with the pros or maybe, hey, look, they look pretty hot right now. You might say, I think they're kind of over the head right now. I think I'll bet against them today. And again, we leave that decision totally up to you. Okay. Anyway, that's the story on those 3 games for tonight, and also giving you an idea as to how the system has been operating as well. So when we come back, we're going to talk football, NFL football. The preseason is now underway. I'm going to give you some handicapping tips on how to take a look at these games that are coming up. Not many. Each team's only going to play 3 games this year, whereas last year they were playing 4 games. So we'll give you some thoughts and ideas. We talked about this the other day. We'll just go back over them again so you understand. So some tips, some help, in handicapping these preseason games. So let's take that break. And as always, we will be back into the zone in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go again. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. We're coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as most of your major podcast platforms such as Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Yeah, we're just about everywhere. And of course, we are coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. So let's get looking at NFL action. Kind of give you some thoughts and ideas because now it looks like this is really the first full weekend of exhibition football. Okay. And of course, as far as betting is concerned, it's totally different when you're betting on preseason games as compared to regular season games. But, even though there is that difference, there are many people that stay away from these games. Yet there are many people that like it as well because there are opportunities that do become available. And like I said the other day, I know some real high level professional bettors that they believe that betting on preseason games gives them a better edge than playing during the regular season when they're betting. So, it just depends on your system, how you do it, how you've been doing. I know I've heard from many people that'll send me emails say, "Oh, stay away from preseason games. You don't know what's going on, this and that." And that's true, but because you had that COVID-19 situation and still going on, there was no 2020 preseason, so there's really nothing to kind of look at from last year like we can with the regular season. The big change since 2019 is that the preseason, like I just got finished saying, is 3 weeks and it isn't four. It used to be four. And before that, it used to be six. I remember when it was six. Okay. So don't overlook the importance of the fact that it's only 3 weeks and how it might change. It might change the way coaches approach the games. Now, with a four-game schedule, the coaches usually they built up their starters' time in each of the first three games, and it ended up with what they used to call the dress rehearsal in week three. That was the third week. The final week was always where they kind of evaluated the lower end talent. They didn't want to see any final cuts they want to make, who they're going to keep. The main players usually the only time they saw the field was from the sideline. So with a three-game slate as it is this season, the question is, will the dress rehearsal be pushed up to game number two? The question is, will the starters play at all in the final game? These are important questions that you're going to have to answer. And of course, they finally will be answered once it's all over with. Because you're in one of those situations tonight with the Pittsburgh Steelers who are playing. The Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday were playing their second game. So let's take a look at perhaps the single most important concept that you want to understand, and it's that coaches, some of the coaches use these games set up a momentum. They want to set up a winning attitude with the team. And of course, there are other coaches that they could care less. For instance, let's look at John Harbaugh. He could easily have been the best preseason coach there is, as they have an 18-3 record that goes all the way back to 2015. Now, Mike Zimmer's Vikings also have been in that direction as well. Now, looking on the other side, the Falcons with Dan Quinn, they were known for essentially tanking in the preseason because they wanted to keep their players healthy. But we'll see how it looks with Atlanta when Arthur Smith takes over. Now, the next thing you want to look at is whether a starting quarterback is going to play. If a price looks kind of off to you, or it falls outside that little we call a sweet spot, +3, -3 as a line's difference, okay? It's a good bet that one of the quarterbacks is not going to be playing if you see that kind of a line. Now, it's already been announced that Burrow and Stafford and Rodgers, they're not going to take any preseason snaps at all. Now, Dak Prescott's situation with the Cowboys. He didn't play in the Hall of Fame game last week, so we'll see what's going to happen there. You want to keep an eye on that as well. Also, line ranges. They've proven to be a real telling story. Odds makers have essentially led bettors to water in the preseason, though it's easy to see how the prices can seem tricky. Now, if you go back to 2010, 5 teams have been favored by more than 7 points. All 5 teams lost against the spread. At the same time, the favorites in that sweet spot range, 3.5 to 7, have been quite reliable. They've been at 56.5%. But most games tend to land in that 1 to 3 range. And those contests are where the underdogs really do well. Because you look back to 2015, underdogs in that +1 to +3 range own a real profitable record of 60.2%. Just something to kind of look at. Also, home field advantage got is important, and also since the 2010 season, 37 is the magic number for totals. Totals of less than 37 have gone over at a rate of 58.5%. So that's some things to kind of look at if you're thinking about betting on preseason games. Just some give you some thoughts and ideas, some things that might help you with your handicapping if that's what you're going to do. So let's take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at 3 games on tap for tonight. You got Tennessee against Atlanta, Buffalo against Detroit, Dallas against Arizona. We're going to take a look at the lines on those games, kind of give you some thoughts and ideas as to how, if any, line movement has occurred already, because you know that's the basis of our show here. We're line movement fanatics. We watch it all the time. So let's take that final break. We'll be back in the zone in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go again. We're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live on the I 95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as podcasting on most of your major podcast platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google. We're just about everywhere. But we're here every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, Saturday and Sunday, coming up tomorrow, by the way, we're on at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I have to think about the time because I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, and the Mountain Time Zone is 9 a.m. So I'm actually doing the show at 9 a.m., which is 11 in New York, so or in the East Coast, let me put it that way. So we got three games to look at as far as the NFL is concerned, three preseason games on tap for tonight. And remember, August the 13th, it's Friday the 13th. So be very, very careful. If you are a triskaidekaphobia person, you're going to be really on the lookout for today's games. So again, Friday the 13th, here we go. Tennessee against Atlanta. Last time I looked at them, Tennessee is Atlanta is a 1.5 point favorite, but the Titans were a 1 point favorite when the line first opened. Now, now taking a look at a dog from a respected bettor. Now that's a guy who likes to bet. They're talking about Vegas and talking about some of the big hitters that are coming in. Okay. When they came in and started jumping on the Titans, the first thing that the sportsbooks had to do was drop the line and turned them into a pick 'em right off the bat. Okay. So the total opened to 38. It hasn't moved. The pros who like the overs bet early. Okay. They bet before the general public who really loves over betting. We've talked about that in the past. The big characteristics of the public bettors is they like home teams, they like overs, they like to bet teams with big name players. But the pros who like the unders, what they do is they usually wait to see if they might see something better come up. I expect we'd see sharp underplay at somewhere around 38 and a half. Right now, it's sitting at 38. Okay. Now, that's the way the pros will be leaning. So, right now, as we look at the game, you're looking at Tennessee, Atlanta. Atlanta is a 1.5 point favorite in this game. They started out at the opening as a 1 point dog, so they have been flipped for the time being. Meanwhile, Buffalo against Detroit. In that game, Detroit is a 1 point favorite and the over under on that game is a total of 37. Now, this one moves significantly. Buffalo actually opened as the 2 point favorite in this game, but the favorite in this situation also has flipped because a lot of the money is coming in on Detroit. Now, a lot of these preseason bettors, they generally like to take rookie head coaches who might be trying to set up a winning culture or just trying to prove to their fans and to the ownership that they've got a team that they could win with. Now, Detroit's new coach is Dan Campbell, and he kind of fits into that little category. The totals went up from 36 and a half to 37, even though Josh Allen is not going to be playing for Buffalo. That's for sure. Now, it might take a 37 and a half or 38 to bring in the buyback on the under in this game. So if it should go to 37 and a half or 38, the pros will probably come in on the under in this particular game. And then finally, you got Dallas against Arizona. Dallas, 1 point underdog. Arizona, 1.5 point favorite. The totals in this game is 39 and a half. Now you have some two-way action here. The Cardinals opened as a 2 point favorite. Now, the first bets that started coming in were on Dallas getting the 2 points. So what happened is that the sports books moved the line a point down to Arizona being as a 1-point favorite, and then they got back on to the Cardinals as well. Now, both teams have followings in Nevada. And of course, again, I let you know these are numbers out of Las Vegas. I know if you're in New York or if you're someplace else in Mississippi or in Illinois, you may have a slightly different line. I'm talking about the lines and what's happening because the pro bettors are here in Las Vegas and they're the ones that make the action happen. A sharp bet on the under, okay, at the opening total of 40 dropped the number down to 39 and a half. So if a pro is betting an under that early in the betting situation, it looked like perhaps the number might have been just a little too high. Now, that's the story there. Arizona is a 1.5 point favorite in that game tonight. Now, if you listen to past shows, I don't know where you finally came in as a listener, but we talked about the effect that the pros have on the lines, especially the opening lines. As soon as the line opens, the first money that starts coming in from the pros will kind of lead the sports books in which direction they want to go. That's how they respect the professional bettors because the professional bettor does his homework. They do their homework. They have all the stats. They put everything together. They have decades and decades of experience behind them. So when a line comes out, like in this situation, the under in this Dallas Arizona game was 40. The first money that came in from the pros was heavy. So when that happens, the next best thing they do is they drop the line to 39 and a half. Okay. So that's the way those things operate. Again, once we get into the season and we have some time during the week, I'd like to go into more detail about explaining to you exactly how those things happen. The line comes out on Monday morning or late Sunday night, right after that final game on Sunday night in the NFL. And then the first thing that happens, the pros take a look at it. They go either one way or another in a particular game. And then what they do is the sports books look and see which direction that's going, and then they make their adjustments. And that's when it happens. Okay. So, anyway, that's the story. Once again, on the 3 games for tonight, you got Tennessee, Atlanta. Atlanta's 1.5 point favorite. Buffalo and Detroit. Detroit's a 1 point favorite. Dallas against Arizona. Arizona is a 1.5 favorite. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, that's still going on as well. You got 3 games on tap for tonight that we kind of took a closer look at. Reds against Philadelphia. The pros are on the Philadelphia Phillies in that game. Milwaukee against Pittsburgh. Milwaukee, of course, is the choice of the pros in that game. And finally, you got the Dodgers and the Mets. And the pros in that game are on the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's the story for today. I want to thank you very much for listening. We talked about the NFL, and we're probably going to be concentrating more and more as we start coming into the start of the season. So we're going to bring you up to date as to how well we're doing with the baseball, but we're also going to start tapping into NFL. We're going to start looking at NFL lines as soon as they open up, okay, and they start coming in. We're going to watch them all week long, let you know what it is on Saturday and Sunday, and kind of let you make the decision at that point in time to try to, hey, you may be very happy with whatever system you're using. So use the information we give you to try to make it part of the system, maybe. It might help you become a winner. So anyway, that's the story for today. Just a reminder, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's tomorrow and Sunday, just as a reminder, right here on the I-95 Radio Sports Network, also podcasting on most of the major podcast platforms. So until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm Chris Pardo. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Have a great Friday, Friday the 13th. And if you're betting, I hope you have a profitable one as well. Goodbye, everybody.